So hi Nadine, thank you for joining today. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing great today.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background, where you were born, where your travels have taken you?
So, I was born in Indonesia, but I didn't stay there for long. I've lived the majority of my life in the Middle East, specifically in Kuwait, in Oman, and now in the UAE. I've done a road trip through Europe. I've traveled to most of the GCC countries and a few in Southeast Asia. So, I've been exposed to many different cultures.
That's a very interesting journey because you've lived in so many different places. And as someone who's called several countries home, how has this sort of impacted your perspective of your own traditional culture?
I think from my upbringing and the way my parents have taught me about my culture, where I'm from in Indonesia, we actually live in the city now, but we're actually from Aceh, which is like at the very northern tip, and it's kind of has a lost language. I can honestly say the older I get, the more closer I want to be to my culture. Parts of me like still want to call it home.
That's actually really nice because you mentioned lost languages. I was coming to the role of languages and cultural experiences. How many languages do you know?
I would say my first language is English, and my second language is Bahasa Indonesia, which is Indonesian. But also, I kind of can understand conversational Arabic, and I've taken Spanish for over 6 years at school and Mandarin as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not very fluent with the languages we learned in school. So that's actually very interesting to know. Speaking of Indonesia, what is a cultural practice or a tradition from your home country that you feel like more people should know about?
But our Independence Day is August 17th. It's like a combination of Eid celebrations and so many games, and people just get together. And the Indonesian community here, we celebrate it weeks on end. But yeah, even from far away, we still have a big community here that is very dedicated to making it a big celebration.
That's so cool. I think communities really help you sort of adapt to a certain place.
Yeah, for sure. I think much like every other culture, like we have our people and our communities, but the embassy here is very, very active. They host lots of events. When we had the elections, they had a bazaar for us and things like that. And
That's amazing. I'm actually kind of surprised the embassy plays such a huge role in it, but that's actually very interesting to know. So 15 years is a very long time. How do you maintain that connection with your Indonesian roots while living in Abu Dhabi?
I always try to actively hang out with my Indonesian friends that are here. It's always nice because our values are shared and kind of how we do meal times and how we approach like sleepovers and things like that. And every year I've been blessed to be able to go back to Indonesia for a few weeks or a month at a time. And that's sort of the time where I really connect to my culture. I meet all the family and I tend to celebrate Eid there. And it's just super fun.
Yeah, I mean, going back home is always an amazing experience. I think when you live away from your hometown, you have that really good balance and you tend to value your culture a lot more. And
Yeah.
you spoke of spending time during meal preparations. Are you a foodie? Because I am.
I'm a huge foodie, have been, will always be. We have so many different foods from so many different areas.
So, is a difficult question. Indonesian food or Middle Eastern food?
Oh my gosh. To be honest, sometimes I get so tired of rice. Like if I'm in Indonesia, my grandmas are like, "Why aren't you eating rice for breakfast?" But yeah, for sure, I have a love for each of them.
I can really relate to that because being an Indian, a lot of my cultural food depends on rice, and I really get tired of it. So, finally, Naveen, looking back at all the places you have lived, do you think your multicultural upbringing was positive or negative, and why?
I would say it's very positive. So I was just surprised at how hospitable some people are. They just met you, but they treat you like family immediately. I think the tolerancy I've experienced and the welcome that I've experienced myself has really made me super open minded. Sometimes when I see someone, like my immediate instinct is like, oh, I need to get to know them. It's just so ingrained in me and my personality.
That is really cool. I think it's a very amazing quality to be able to sort of interact with a lot of people and have that mindset. But yeah, at the end of the day, all these cultural experiences are somewhat what is going to shape you. So yeah, thank you for sharing your incredible story with us. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, it was a lovely chat. It's always enlightening to share these kinds of stories for sure.